What is up, y'all? Welcome back. It says that we are live. Let me double check that we are live. We always got to check our connection. So, how's everybody doing? If you can see me, give me a thumbs up. That's our typical procedure for the Wednesday night Random Topics live chat. However, this is not Wednesday night. This is Thursday night. We actually have a topic to talk about. Let me pull this screen down just a hair for you because I was getting heat last night for not having any pews in the views. So there is a view of a pew right there, a long one. And then, wait, over there, there's a handheld one. How's everybody doing? Let me see if I can see myself. I think we're live. So good to go. How's everybody doing? Welcome to the Thursday night topic live chat. Thank you for stopping in. I see a lot of the usual suspects, as Brad Branch would point out for sure. Do a quick roll call over here just to see who comes to the screen real quick as we let things get fired up. Let people get their notifications, let any ads get rolled through, all that stuff. We got Hammerback was the first one in here. He said he watched the video about that 10 millimeter. He said he watched it earlier, so he can't wait to talk to us now. It's a lot of beans. You're right, Hammerback. So who else do we have in here? We had Stephen M. Mann. We have Graybeard, Unit 4. Who else is joining us? We got Bad Karma. What's up to all of you so far? And if I miss anybody, sorry. If I repeat anybody, sorry. We got Major's Log. What's going on? We got Casey Two Guns, Ted Collins, Joseph Jones, Graybeard. I think I might have said Graybeard, but we can always say it twice. Mikey Gears, and Rich B's in the house like always. Gray Shooter, Joseph Jones. I said that once already. Let me see. You guys are talking back and forth to each other quite a bunch. Enigmatic Gwitchin, what's going on? Charles Nemitz, how are you? I think UB Trippin's in here somewhere. And I think I got to the end. All right, cool. What's up to all of you? Thank you for stopping in. I think we should be all rolled in by now. I still see myself clear on the screen over there. Let's talk about 10 millimeter in a Marlin lever action. I put a video up on the Second Opinion channel just in case anybody's confused about that. We have the turkey's opinion, then we have the turkey's second opinion. So I put it up over there because I didn't know if it would fit in with the way the channel's been going lately. The news thing kind of died down on the tubes, so I put it over there. But I still wanted to announce it, and you guys that are subscribers of this channel have the option to find it over there. So I figured it'll all go good and it would get its reach. And it did. So people commented right away and they commented back with a plethora of different things. I haven't commented back to any of them, maybe one or two. So sorry about the lack of response so far. But I was waiting. I wanted to do this. This will probably address a lot of it. I thought it would be fun to just get together and talk about it. I will start reading your comments as they come through a little bit, but you guys know how it goes with a topic live chat. I can't read every comment or we'll never get to the topic. So, again, welcome to everybody that's here. Feel free to talk in the side chat. Everybody here is really cool. And let's talk about this. So, I think it's a very cool firearm, as I think I showed in the video that we made. I made it a short, sweet 5-minute video. I wasn't going to pump it up too much. I know nothing about it actually, as far as the physical item in my hand. I just saw what they released. First, they were talking about, and this is an empty box. This is not real ammunition, of course. But we have Hornady Lever Evolution came out with a 10 millimeter auto, 150 grain FTX round. Let me hold that up a little bit better for you guys. Let me give you a fair look so you guys can see the numbers on there. So we got 1220 out of the muzzle, out of whatever barrel size they're saying that's going to come out of, but a 150 grain round in 10 millimeter. We know that that actually travels pretty good when you hit a 16-inch type of a barrel. Some of the heavier stuff can have a little trouble scooting. The lighter stuff seems to do better, but it's also going to be a little bit powder dependent also. So there's going to be different variations that might work a little better than others, copper versus lead type of things like that. But we think it'll be a pretty good performer with a lot of stuff. I can't wait to see how it works with this ammunition. But I have another grouping of ammunitions over here that I know it's going to work pretty well with. So that's going to be really fun. We tested the LC carbine out. We had fun with that. We got increase in velocities big time with things like Liberty Civil Defense. So let's touch on some of the comments right there that came in. Was probably not going to see a lot of velocity increase in 10 millimeter like you would, let's say, 9 millimeter, 40 caliber, things like that. Or they gave some other examples, 357 Magnum for sure. But The thing is that you will see the velocity increase. You'll realize a lot more velocity increase with lighter bullets, in my opinion, than you will say something like a 200 or a 20, 220, 230 grain, something like that's not going to be able to get going too much quicker. But still, you're able to throw it out a little bit quicker, and you're still able to throw it out of a rifle, sometimes a little bit more accurate than you would out of a pistol. Next comment. Let's go right to the next comment. Is that, oh, that's a semi-auto cartridge, and you're trying to put it into a lever gun. It doesn't belong in the lever gun. Well, I beg to differ. You can always interchange back and forth. That's always fun to do. I mean, we put 357 Magnum in a 1911 and have the Kunin. They did cool things with the auto mag pistols. They do cool things with the Desert Eagle pistols. Things have cross capabilities, compatibilities. Korth revolvers make cylinders with 9 millimeter options. It's really cool. You can use 10 millimeter in a 610 Smith and Wesson. You just have to use moon clips and certain things. I've owned a 625 that shot 45 ACP, and it was a beautiful gun, highly accurate, awesome. Jerry Mitchell version. It was a really cool gun. I don't own it anymore, and I kind of regret getting rid of it in a way. But anyway, cross capability or compatibility is definitely there. And then I'm going to go ahead and say that 10 millimeter actually right now in this day, right 2020 to 2025, we really saw an increase in popularity in 10 millimeter. So now we have really good options. There's a lot of ammo that's been made for 10 millimeter. We might be able to say that it has caught up to at least, if not surpassed, a lot of 357 Magnum options currently available. For a while, we couldn't find a 357 Magnum loading, not even 38 special half the time, not even in practice ammo. And if we did, it was getting close to $1 a round, if not more, even for basic lead rounds. 10 millimeter came back a lot quicker, more plentiful, more options. I have a whole stack of brand new 10 millimeter options that we're going to be testing. So the ammo availability is there. Plus, for the hand loader, the projectile availability is definitely there also. And that leads to hand loading. So people will bring up that the 10 millimeter is anemic compared to the 357 Magnum. I will go ahead and talk about that right now. Is that the 10 millimeter, if loaded properly, of course, can get kind of close to what 357 Magnum is supposed to be. Not all the time, but 357 Magnum is not loaded like it used to be a lot of the time. And that's okay. That has its reasons. There are reasons for that. But if you're a hand loader, you can solve a lot of these problems. You can really have fun. Don't go blowing up your gun for no reason, but you can definitely increase the potency that you're throwing out of this. Now, altogether, there are a lot more people, in my opinion, carrying 10 millimeter semi automatic pistols than there are 357 Magnum revolvers in this day, again, in 2025. Depending on where you're at, there's a lot of people in woods country and different places that would be carrying the revolvers. I don't know if it'll be in 357 Magnum, but I currently have a 357 Magnum that I recently purchased that I plan on carrying as an EDC item all the time, at least most of the time, because it's cool. So 357 Magnum is out there, but also I've carried a lot more in my life 10 millimeter. And you guys know what I'm talking about with the Glock 20s, the XDMs, M&P has them, FN has one. Gosh, there's a whole lot of them. There's SIG options out there for sure. There's even high point options. There's a lot of 10 millimeter options on top of all the 1911 options that you have, including though, like I also said, the revolver before the 610. So a lot of people are packing 10 millimeter. Now you have a carbine that you can match up with it. That's always cool. Somebody said here's one I'll touch on really quick. Someone said that a 10 millimeter cartridge is going to slip out of a cartridge loop belt type of thing, any kind of a bandolier. Not if you have a proper one that's made out of leather, anything that's tensioned well. You can hold any kind of cartridge in there. That was a silly one that I heard, but I like the idea of just being able, if you're carrying a semi-automatic, you can just pop a couple magazine or rounds out of your magazine if you want to top off your gun. You don't have to even have loose rounds on you. Stripper clips, things like that would be a good way to carry ammo for this. You can top it off with that side gate. Looks pretty cool to me. Again, your accuracy is going to be there. With the right loading, your velocity is going to be there. This is going to be a good deer cartridge. So if you're allowed to conceal carry while you hunt, that's awesome. Carry your 10 millimeter and carry your 10 millimeter. Both of them go to the woods at the same time. We know that it can take down a lot of game. Predators too. If you're carrying this thing around for a predator gun, hanging it on your side by side, just keeping it in your truck, just going around checking your trail cams, things like that. I think that would be really cool. So, do you carry wheel guns for that specifically, or do you have your semi-automatic? So, This thing might be a total niche item for 10 millimeter people, but that's okay. We deserve that. We like that. Somebody mentioned it was CW Longshot actually mentioned 41 Magnum. That would be cool if we could have that in 41 Magnum. I say also make it in 41 Magnum, but we don't have to limit anything down. The other thing that I like about this gun is they didn't make it anything wild and crazy. They might have other versions of this that are going to come out, probably depending on the sale of this gun, but they didn't put a bunch of rails and things like that hanging off of it. They actually did the black laminate stock, stainless matte finish, and that is awesome. It just looks like so many other ones that are out there, the Trapper series. It's got that sight on it, that rear peep sight and the blade front sight, just classic. So I like that. And I know other people like that too. And I'm sure there's ways to upgrade or adjust that. Or like I said, they'll be coming out with other versions. So I think this is a winner winner chicken dinner altogether. The ammo price also, one other thing to take into consideration, somebody said it was not going to be affordable as a plinking gun. Well, unless you're shooting rimfire, this will probably be the most affordable 10 millimeter that you're going to have, or plinking gun, lever gun that you're going to have, because it's 10 millimeter. So 10 millimeter actually price wise is probably at least where 357 is, if not a little bit better. It's unfortunate that they said right off the rip you can't shoot 40 Smith and Wesson. I don't know why. Maybe that's just manual thing, like every other guns maker says about their 10 millimeter. But maybe there's an actual reason. I don't know lever guns too well. Maybe somebody else can actually chime in and let us know if that is a real deal or not. But as far as cheap ammunition, you can still find cheap 10 millimeter ammunition, and you can make it pretty cheap too, along with 357 and things like that. But you get my point. I think you'll probably, unless you have a lever gun in 9 millimeter, which is not easy to come by, this will probably be your cheapest option other than rimfire for plinking. It's definitely cheaper than 44 Magnum or 4570, all that kind of stuff like that. If you're gonna shoot the Bighorn Armory 500 Magnum, you're gonna pay $5 a round, $6 a round. So you get my drift on that. So that is definitely an awesome point. And on top of that, it's going to be a good recoiling gun. 10 millimeter is potent out of a handgun sometimes, but out of a rifle, it's actually pretty decent. So you can hand this to your kids. You can hand this to your grandpa. You can hand this to just about anybody, your wife. A lot of people are going to be able to hunt or plink, have fun, shoot, do whatever, even home defense situations with a very capable cartridge, but not a lot of recoil at all. Straight while hunting cartridge states or pistol cartridge allowances for deer hunting, this is going to be really cool within a certain distance. Let's see, there was another thing I was thinking along the lines of hunting, but oh, it's not a lot of, you don't have over penetration situations. Depending on what you want to use the gun for, you don't have a super powerful cartridge. You have a powerful enough cartridge, but not a too powerful cartridge. And on top of that, there was one other thing that was hanging on the tip of my tongue right there. Whatever that was, we'll get back to that. But yes, I think that this is actually a really cool option. A lot of people said, well, I want to see this rather in 480 Ruger, or I want to see it in 454. Okay, fine. Let's make them all again, like I said, but don't disclude the 10 millimeters. So I can't think of a reason not to do it. There are people that would just want it. Me personally, I was almost going to buy one of these in 357 Magnum. However, this is cooler, in my opinion, for me as a 10 millimeter lover and a 357 lover also. And then one more personal reason for me is now we can do some really cool 10 millimeter longer barrel testing again. So I think that is all good. Anybody else want to disagree, or anybody want to disagree, or anybody else want to throw in something that I'm forgetting? There was something I had right there on the tip of my tongue that I was trying to think about as I was talking. It's hard to do this all at once and try to make sure you do everything. I'm not reading from a teleprompter. I don't have notes. So let me go to the comments, and I'm going to go to the most recent comments here. And because there's a lot of them in there. So you guys have definitely been talking. But if there's anything that I need to see, go ahead and throw it in there again. But I think you get my drift. I think this is a cool thing. Availability is going to really suck at first. Everywhere when I started calling about this thing, they never heard of it, of course. And then you start putting in the SKUs and whatnot and model numbers, and they had a hard time finding it. And then you find out they're all allocated. And it's one of those get on it right now things if you want it, but who knows if it's going to stay like that. I mean, if it's a good seller, I'm assuming it's not going to be a limited edition. Oh, here's what I wanted to say. The other thing that was escaping my mind, 10 millimeter ammo, on top of being controllable yet powerful, I did say this, and people are gonna totally jump all over me on this because of a lot of reasons. But some 10 millimeter ammo is already going to be subsonic. So if you throw a can on this thing, it'll probably be cool. If you throw subsonic ish ammo through it, it's going to be even cooler. I know subsonic ammo might not be compatible with what you guys think is 10 millimeter, but some very heavy for caliber stuff could go subsonic. We could load at right subsonic ranges. You can make some heavy thumping rounds, maybe with something like a Lehigh Defense controlled chaos type of thing, controlled expansion, whatever those open like a butterfly type of rounds. You could make some like a 10 millimeter version of an 8.6 blackout type of thing without all the crazy spin, but you get my drift on the projectile style going suppressed, quiet as heck. So you could basically take out raccoons all around your street, neighborhood, cornfield, wherever, and nobody will hear you doing it. That is really cool. All right, I'm going to get to the comments over here. Thanks for putting up with my big spiel. I got it all out. I think I didn't miss anything. Anyway, BB Dragon 66 says usually 10 millimeters cheaper than 357 mag. I agree. Usually not, and it wasn't always like that. 357 was doing all right. 38 was doing pretty good, especially just basic lead range rounds that were going like less than 800 feet per second. Yeah, that was cheap stuff. Not anymore. He says, I'm sure they're going to make sell the ones they make. Oh, yeah, they'll sell them. That's the thing. Somebody's going to want these, and I'll be one of those people that'll want it. That's for sure. Options are always a good thing, says Three Wheel Man. Yep. He says full pass for him, but he'd prefer like an FPC. So there you go. There are a lot of people. Well, good point right there. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to want a semi-automatic version like the LC carbine or the FPC. I totally agree. I understand Banshee people out there. I totally agree. But this is a classic. So this is a way to just kind of put something cool into a classic. I mean, if they made this gun in 50 AE, I would think that would be cool. But that's just me. If they made it in 357 SIG, I would think it would be cool. That's just me. I'm a weirdo. I like odd things. I like I would like a Henry Golden Boy in 17 HMR. So that's, I would like that rather than a 22. Camera guy. He's got the 22 Magnum version of a Henry, and I'm like, that's cool. I really like that gun, but I want it in 17. Ray Shooter says he thinks Henry's making a 9 millimeter lever gun. There you go. I'm sure somebody has them. I don't pay attention to lever guns in pistol calibers like that much because I knew there wasn't anything that I was interested in, but I figured. And then BB Dragon says he thinks case length would play into it as far as 40 Smith and Wesson. Yeah, I don't know lever guns to know enough about anything about how that action would handle that. So that's why I'm not gonna act like I know too much. You always have to know the where to draw the line if you're a no BS content maker. You have to know where to draw the line of what you don't know what you're talking about. I know a lot about 10 millimeters. I barely know anything about lever guns. I probably am not even saying that right. Lever gun. People will say that's wrong, but I've taken them apart a few times and they're interesting creatures. But yeah, I really don't know a lot about them. I like them though, so I feel I'm allowed to have an opinion on 10 millimeter in there. Of course, it's the turkey's opinion, but just don't hand it to your ex-wife. Exactly, Unifor. I would agree. Yep. Yeah, because just about everybody can figure out a lever gun. There's a crossbolt safety that might trip people up, but other than that, and then yes, Sonny Kim, that's this ammo that you're talking about right here. Yes, sir, or ma'am. 10 millimeter auto FTX. That's the polymer tip. This box is empty, so I can't take them out of there and show you. But yep, we're gonna try that for sure. We're gonna try that in a handgun for sure. Anyway, don't take out the raccoon, says Joseph Jones. Man, they're terrible on my corn pile right now. They are bad. Autumn Fragrance. What's going on? Says lever action rifle with a rimless pistol cartridge. Yeah, it's interesting, but it's happening. So and by the way, I haven't seen you for a while. Thanks for stopping in. I don't know how this is going to function reliably with everything. I'm assuming there might be an ammo or two that would trip it up. Something that would resemble wad cutter snake shot type of thing. Anything like that might trip it up, but that's not generally going to be found in semi-auto cartridges. So your basic factory loadings of things, unless it's something oddball, should probably work. Like I said, snake shot would probably have a hard time in that magazine tube and loading. But What else might trip it up? Maybe there'd be something that would get tripped up on a solid copper fluted bullet, possibly, but I highly doubt it. I can't really think of much. I don't think you have to worry about the chain fire detonation situation. You don't have very pointy bullets for 10 millimeter at all, unless you're using something extremely wacky. Most of them are flat point, if not hollow point. Um, Barely anything has a tip to it in 10 millimeter, except for some of the, and this is rare, some of the 10 millimeter solid copper type of stuff. Now, with that being said, let me take a look at something. I might have something that might actually create that problem in the gun. Yes, I do. Actually, I found an ammunition that will absolutely probably create a chain fire in that gun. Maybe you guys can guess it, have fun. We've tested it on the channel. Now that I said that, I found an ammunition that is a no go in that firearm. Let me tell you this. Let me tell you this right now. There's no reason for me not to tell you. I'm going to tell you right now. This is an empty box, of course, but I would not be using this 10 millimeter Woodsman from G9 Defense 145 grain. I'm going to show you a dummy round, and this is for safety purposes so that you can see this is a completely deactivated, empty, non functional dummy round. But I'm going to show you the tip of this. So, camera, catch that. I do not think we should be loading that into the tube of a lever action gun. Ooh, but G9 might have to put a disclaimer on that. And all right, what else? What did I miss in the comment section? I wish 327 was more popular. Also, like weird stuff. Exactly, Sonny. Yeah, let's bring it all out. I'm a fan of let's bring it all out. Don't eliminate or put in the corner any cartridges. I hate to hear people say, is so and so caliber extinct or is so and so caliber doomed? Is so and so caliber obsolete? No, no, no. That's ridiculous. Calibers, cartridges are awesome. Let's not get rid of them. Great Shooter says, sorry, Turkey. It's a Taylor and Company 9 millimeter lever gun. Cool. Taylor and Company. There's the answer. Thanks, Great Shooter, for that update on the 9 millimeter lever gun. Yeah, I started thinking about that. I'm like, I really don't see that many of them. James says, I have Marlin Trapper 1895 4570, and it's awesome. I have two 10 millimeter pistols. Might be good to look into. How are you, Turkey's opinion? I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for checking in, James. But yeah, I really have wanted the 4570s or the 357 Magnums or other options out there. I mean, but I've never wanted to go ahead and drop the coin on a good lever gun. The prices really shot up. But if I was going to buy one, it was always going to be this version, the laminate, the satin, an all weather, something like that. It was always going to be a version like this. And here it comes in 10 millimeters. So awesome. And definitely didn't want one tacked out. I just wanted it to be normal. And this is it. This is if I would I mean, it's just it landed right here. It's here. It's I gotta do it. It's one of those things. You know how the saying, as soon as you think you're out, I say I thought I was done buying guns for a while. I said, as soon as you're out, they pull me right back in, and it just happened. So I got the 22 mag Marlin drilled in heavy barrel stock, says the court of public opinion. There you go. 22 Magnum is the 22 mag Marlins are pretty cool for sure. I like 22 Magnum as a cartridge in general. It's really good. It scoots. People say accuracy win this and that, but I really like it. So good deal there. Fort Scott ammo says Major's log. I'm not. Yeah, that's a tumble upon impact. That's probably going to be the pointier of the 10 millimeters. And I'm sure there could be something else. The screwdriver hammerback says the screwdriver external hollow point deal. Yeah, some of them are screwdrivered, but then concave again in the actual point, so they would beat up around the primer. Like they'd beat up, if anything, they would beat up where the head stamp is, type of thing. But some of them might be narrow enough. This G9 Woodsman definitely is. I should look at the other G9, but I don't know where it's at. I can't be jumping all around the room and leaving you guys. So double tap snake shot. Yeah, I see. I don't know what about. I can't remember. I think that one might have. I do have the 10 millimeters somewhere. I think that we got to put up our video about that, by the way. So stay tuned for that. But I think that one has an actual projectile in the front. But yeah, definitely the spear CCI snake shot. That one will not. That one's got a capsule. I no, it doesn't actually. No, that one doesn't have a capsule, but I don't know if it would feed. Waiting for 30 super carry lever action before I buy a 30 super carry firearm. There you go. That'd be a good idea, right? How would he get one extra round? Two, something like that. Oh, someone had mentioned is the 10 round, 10 millimeter, is the capacity. They said it's a 10 round, and they asked if the capacity was a restriction thing for restriction states. And I don't think so because the 357 Magnum versions of these guns have 8-round capacity from what I've seen. So haven't looked into them too much, but nope, I think we're good to go. T2 Armory says, "Howdy, fellas. What's up, T2? Welcome in." And Rin is in here. Said, "Good evening, all. What's going on, Rin?" Sorry, guys. I'm rubbing the back of my head because I have a headache, like always when I do these. I look at the screen. And Ted Collins says, "I'd like a 7.8 revolver in 327." Yeah, a lot of you guys talk about 327. Some channels are doing testing on it. I don't know much about anything 327 or 32 caliber in general. Thomas Campbell said, "My Henry 357 Magnum feeds the 357 smoother versus 38 special. I'm guessing it's length related." Yeah, it has a better dive as a torpedo in there. Yeah, I'm sure certain things are related there with like the 40 caliber trying to get it to feed, which is so might be one of the guns where it's actually the truth. It might not feed properly, but you'd have to see. I don't know. The 357 Magnums also shoot 38 special routinely. They don't seem to have, I don't hear people crabbing about it all the time, but see, you use yours and you're saying right now that it does. I don't know. Rimless cartridges might be a little different. I don't know lever guns that well. So Jimmy Bishop says, "Hey everyone, what's up, Jimmy?" And Unit Force says, "So far, Turkey 10 millimeter levers and Thursday are working for you." Yeah, I think people are excited about this gun. They wanted to hear about it. They probably were going to hear if I had a rant, but I just wanted to use this as an question and answer session about it, or at least to answer the comments before I actually get back into the comments. But I thought it was a good idea. I wanted to hear you guys if you have any serious objections to it, not just opinions of why you don't like 10 millimeter, but like a serious reason why we shouldn't do it. I did hear a valid point, possibly. So tell me what you guys think about this. There was a comment that mentioned semi-auto cartridges that may not have a good roll crimp on them because they'd have a taper crimp. So a semi-auto cartridge with not as strong of a crimp as some of this other stuff in the tube under recoil, could we end up with bullets set back? I'm not sure. Um, Bullet setback is a thing that happens when you rechamber around sometimes over and over and over again. Definitely in something like a 1911 where it really ka-chunks a bullet in there. We did a video on that. If you want to check that out, just look up Turkey's Opinion bullet setback. We did it with 45, and it's pretty impressive what happens to them. But would that happen in the tube under recoil? Let's say for some reason you just kept topping off, topping off, topping off with the first couple experience setback or anything like that. I'm not sure. I don't know how the recoil affects things in a lever gun like that. So good, good question. I don't know if it's true or not, but someone who knows, let us know. And then I'm wondering if we're going to get a hammered down. So we got the lever evolution, but now are we going to get a federal hammered down? Because I think it's federal. Hammer down is usually some pretty tough ammunition. So if we can get a 10 millimeter hammer down, that'll be pretty cool because that might be some mean stuff if they do it right. But I think most of these bigger companies are scared to death to do it right. So let me get back to the comments. BB Dragon says, "Now I'm choking to death. I'd like to have one, but there are several things I would rather have first." I know that's the problem with prioritization in this world of wants. I have this problem. I stay up at night over this. Turkey says, or Gray Shooter says, "Turkey, if the Marlins are allocated, the bigger store may have one first." Yeah, I have feelers out with multiple stores, and then I'm kind of committed to one store 90%, if that makes any sense. Because it's my favorite store. So I got feelers out everywhere, but I'd prefer to get one at a certain place. T2 Army says, in lever platform? In lever platform. Oh, he says before that, I tend to think a 10 millimeter doesn't produce enough recoil in the rifle to cause issues with setback in a 10 millimeter or in a lever platform. All right, yeah, that's a good point because you don't have heavy recoil there with that round. Good point. I would probably be concerned by setback in a tube fed lever with something like a 450 Bushmaster or 50 Beowulf. Really good point there. Yeah, you're not generating a ton of recoil. There you go. Thank you for that. Cheesley Man says, "Will this be able to shoot 40 Smith and Wesson also?" They say for now, no, but we never know. It may be something that we will try, maybe something we won't. I don't know. We'll have to see as we get there. Some things you can always get away with, and then some things you can only get away with most of the time. So we'll see. Gray Shooter says, Turkey, if the. Oh, yeah, I already read that one. And Autumn Fragrance says, not sure how much better 10 millimeter performs out of a long barrel. It depends on the cartridge. It depends on the weight, and you have a little bit of a difference between copper and lead. So we'll definitely be going through that. I already have some experience with that with the Ruger LC carbine. Check that out if you want to get a view of probably what it does, because that's a 16-inch barrel, 10 millimeter. I can't imagine it's going to be that much different. So check out that LC carbine playlist. You will definitely learn a lot. Lighter is faster. I'll say that. I mean, lighter is always faster, but lighter is faster times faster to infinity faster. Check out the civil defense. That's the best one. Yep. Gray Shooter says the lighter ones really pick up the velocity. Yeah. If you get into the 180, 200, 220s, not so much, but you're still getting a little bit. And I mean, sometimes we were only getting 50 feet per second more, I think, or 100 feet per second more. Not much at all, but you're still getting the velocity. It actually puts it up to maybe what people want as a true velocity for 10 millimeters. So at least you're squeaking it out. You got your box at 10 millimeter, and you're like, yes, this is going to be 1250 feet per second, finally. And then it pukes out of your pistol, and you're not happy with it. Put it in your 16-inch barrel, and now you can have real 10 millimeter and just pretend. That's what they do when they write the barrel length on the gun or on the box. They just omit certain numbers. It really was a 16-inch barrel. They just cut out the one and left the six, and you think they're testing out of a 6-inch barrel. Really, what they meant to tell you is it's a 16-inch barrel. Oopsies. But remember, here's another video. See, plug after plug. I'm sorry, guys. Check out our video on, does all 10 millimeter have to be nuclear? Does it really have to be? Sometimes we can have fun. That is the cool thing about reloading, but guns in general, they're not set into one thing. They don't create a cartridge and then that's the only way that you can shoot it. So thank goodness that people make the specials and the magnums and everything's in betweens. And the super magnums and the super short magnums and the bushwhackers. Range 10 millimeter equals 40 Smith and Wesson. Yeah, except for Sig. Now I'll always defend Sig on their range ammo for certain. Sig Elite range ammo, the full metal jacket, flat point, of course, 180 grain, 10 millimeter is potent, real stuff. I believe that's a 1250 right there. It's at least 1200, but I believe it's a 1250. Sig makes no joke for real 10 millimeter range ammo, 50 round boxes. However, you're almost always going to pay for them. It's going to be the most expensive range ammo at the store. However, it's better. Maybe it has something to do with the powder. We can't get blue dot powder right now. I don't know what kind of powder they would actually use at Sig, but maybe they're dependent on something like blue dot. I have no idea. But it's good stuff. You're just going to pay for it. Very accurate. I keep some around all the time if I really want to accuracy test a 10 millimeter. Hey, hey, that might be the perfect round to test in this rifle. See why I keep these things around? Carbon Spider said we tried to sneak it in, but he turned the computer on. Yeah, you're always going to catch us towards the end, but you're here, so thanks for stopping in. BB Dragon says I watch a bunch of videos and start salivating over one, then another firearm. Yep. Yep. Look at your wife and then put the credit card back in your pocket. Yeah. See, actually, Mrs. Turkey, she printed a picture of her and her face is on the stop sign. It's like imposed into the red part of the stop sign with her hands on her hip. And every time I think about getting a new firearm, I'm supposed to look at that picture. She doesn't have a happy face on. So I know what you mean. All right. Did I miss anything else? I'll flip through the comment section really quick. I'm not going to drag this one out too long for you guys, but let's see if I have anything that I missed. I don't think so. If anybody wants to get anything else in, drop it in the comment section. Otherwise, this is going to turn into just a random topics live chat for about 5 minutes, and then we'll get on out of here. But I definitely appreciate you guys stopping in. Might be less than 5 minutes. You guys got to get to bed. It's Thursday night. We already did this last night. What else we got? At Shields, you got an exclusive on 10 millimeter. Flat nose, 1250, 180 grain. There you go. Fiocchi's making it hot, huh? There you go. Nice. And 3.5 pounds of blue dot is what Buck found recently. Heck yeah, you got to pick that right up. Is Thursday a regular thing? No, usually Wednesday's the regular thing. Sometimes we're trying to make the Monday night on the turkey second opinion a regular thing. This is just a topic random or a topic live chat, not a random live chat. We just did this one just to have a little bit of fun and try to answer some questions because I really couldn't get to the comment section the way I like to. I fall asleep if I answer comments for too long. So this was a fun way to do it. Brian Moore says he likes the 10 millimeter idea in the lever gun. Good deal. At least somebody's with me. Thanks, Brian Moore. The court of public opinion says Underwood 10 millimeter extreme defense 115 grain platinum. I like any of those Lehigh bullets for sure. They go quick. I like them if you load them properly. Now, there's question of if they deviate in gel. We're going to be finding that out with a lot of 10 millimeter stuff. We have a whole bunch of it loaded up over there. So we're going to find out about a lot of those projectiles in 357 Magnum and in 10 millimeter and everything associated with 10 millimeters. So if they can take the 40 caliber bullet, we're testing it. And Hammerbeck said, thanks, TTO. Everyone have a good night. I'm working until 5. So gonna get back at it. There you go. Get to sleep. Hammerback, get your rest. And thank you for stopping in. Jimmy Bishop says, I have a Glock 21 Gen 4 plus. Uh-oh, it skipped on me. A Brownells G20 Gen 3 slide, and it works great. But what about 40 Super or 450 SMC and a Glock 21? Talk to AZ Air Gunner, Arizona Air Gunner, about the Glocks. I know nothing about Glocks, so I don't know anything about converting them. But Arizona Air Gunner, he knows about that. Check out his channel. He'll get you squared away, I'm sure. He is a good dude, good channel, doing good stuff. Nice, quick one. Sleep well. And until next time, take care. BB Dragon says, you as well. Thanks for stopping in. Ephemeral Thought says only 10 millimeter carbine. I know that will probably be legal in 2A challenge states. There you go. That's a good point. That's kind of cool. Yeah, that might be a really cool option right there for people that are in those very challenging to live in places. I like that. 2A challenge. Buck's got a thumbs up. Thank you, Buck. Does it take Glock magazines? Or Ephemeral Thought wants to know. I mean, it depends on how much work you're willing to do. So anything's possible, right? Carbon Spider said, hey, and just give it time. Next year at SHOT Show, they might have that version for you. Like, so don't ask them for this kind of stuff, guys. You'll see it. Be careful what you wish for. Any lever gun is a good one. Now that's the spirit, Carbon Spider. I like that. Any lever gun's a good one. Even a Red Rider. That's where we all started, wasn't it? Will says to avoid the elevator hanging up, feeding 40. Try a 10 millimeter case with a light charge of AA number 2, then top with cornmeal. Seat bullet under slight compression. I've done this for light BP loads in large cases. There you go. So there's always a way to do things. I load really light things in 30 or in 357 Magnum. I load light 38, and trust me, my 10 millimeter stuff a lot of the times is loaded just like 40 caliber. So not a problem. You can use tight group and load 10 millimeter down really low if you're careful with tight group. Unit Forces topic chat. That's why we didn't talk about food tonight. Exactly. We got to be careful. We got to stay on topic. Not talking about food, says Ted Collins. I think that's what he says. Stop no blasters. Oh, what blasters did we have? Did anybody guess the blasters on the wall? I know my resolution's not good. I'll get you guys a new webcam. Don't worry, guys. That sounded weird, but I'll get a new webcam or whatever they call them. Give us the best turkey load. That'll be coming. We're definitely gonna do some shotgun stuff. And since you said it, there's a double. I got my screen crossed up. There's a double barrel 10 gauge for you guys right there. Some of you guys have seen it. Again, here's another plug. Check out the double barrel 10 gauge videos on the channel. And with that said, we're going to get out of here, guys. Thank you all for stopping in. I really appreciate it. I'll probably see you Monday on the other channel. We got videos coming up over the weekend. We're going to try to film videos this weekend. I've got a bunch of videos to edit, but you know how it goes. Until we see you next time, let me see if I can get this right with the buttons this time. Great Shooter says good night, all. But until we see you next time, stay safe, have fun, and keep on shooting. Oh, I got it wrong. I got one more button to push. See you later, y'all.